Hey everyone, it's Jason. Welcome to another Disney Villainous unboxing. This is for the Sugar and Spike expansions. Now, this is the Target exclusive cover. Has a Target exclusive game piece, which, if you're familiar with my other videos, doesn't mean a whole lot. They're nice to have, but basically the thing is you're getting a solid colored piece with some sort of design or special coloring on it versus a clear piece. Otherwise, it's the exact same, 100% the same content in there. So I do like this wrapper though, like this extra sleeve, because it looks like a candy bar that got ripped open. But then you have like the glitch around it to signify the Candy King. So this is also a new thing that Villainous is starting to do, is they're going away from the so here's the regular boxes for that, and then we get the clear version on the back showing that. Otherwise, all the cards and everything are the same. But yeah, they're going to the 2-character expansion now. So they have been doing the 3 characters. They're dropping it down to 2, which does lower the price point a little bit. Makes it a little bit more digestible. And then I'm also wondering how they're going to do, because usually they typically did, like one popular character, one like mid-known character, and then one lesser-known character to get them in. And so here I think if they're just going to do 2 of them, obviously we're going to get Candy King from Wreck-It Ralph and Shere Khan. So obviously I think Disney people, a lot of people know who Shere Khan is from the Jungle Book, and I think that would mean Candy King would be kind of like the lesser-known villain. Although he's not like he's an unknown. Wreck-It Ralph was pretty popular. A sequel. I wouldn't be surprised if they're making a 3rd one. But yeah, that's, yeah, so, but again, if you think about that movie, you generally think about Vanellope and Wreck-It Ralph and Fix-It Felix, and even probably, Sergeant Kahulahan. I don't think a lot of people, like, their first instinct is to think about the Candy King, especially then because he wasn't in the 2nd one, so he wasn't, like, a reoccurring villain. Yeah, so definitely got hopping this again. So there's some actually little bit of new mechanics in it. The overall base game plays the same, so we do get our rule book. It's all pink to kind of match it. I'm not going to get into too much of all the rules. So we have our 25 power tokens, 15 strength tokens, and then to go with each deck, we have some fire tokens and some racer token. Otherwise, the game itself plays the same. So again, I'm not going to jump things. I don't think there was any updated rules, gain power, play cards, activate, move ally, all the same stuff. If you've never played, it's going to definitely just walk you through on how to play everything, which is really nice. But yeah, none of the actual rules or anything changed. So a couple of things that would have maybe brought up, just to bring this up, is the realm. There's no limit number of villain or fate cards that may be placed to a location. As cards are played to locations, slightly offset them so all cards can be seen. When action on your board is uncovered, it is immediately available and may be performed if your villain is at your location and it is still your turn. Any card that is on a location on your board is considered being your villain's realm. An ability's effect for as long as a card remains in your realm. Revealing versus looking. If a card instructs you to reveal cards from either your hand or your villain fate deck, turn over each card so that all players can see them. If a card instructs you to look at cards, you may look at them privately, keeping them secret from other players. And why this is an important distinction is because it's telling you to reveal cards, it's letting your opponent give them knowledge. Like, example, what's that deck reveal cards from the Fate deck for Shere Khan, and I'm looking for Mogili, right? That's one of the people I need to find. And I reveal Mogili, and I also see that I discarded Blue, right? And they know that Blue goes to the discard pile. Now they know he's not going to be in there. But if they don't see him, or they don't see Mogili or whatever, it just gives people the option, just extra knowledge when they're playing kind of against you. When it's stuff in your hand, again, it might even be if you're going through your deck, if they know that, oh look, he discarded his conditions, I know he doesn't have 2 of them now, versus, he played one earlier and he has one there, versus not knowing what's in there. Card abilities. Building a card contradicts rules and the instructions, use the rule on a card first. If an ability triggers when it or another card is played, the ability is not triggered when it is moved. The card ability triggers when it or another card is moved. The ability is not triggered when it's played. So the card says, do this when you move it. That's not playing it. When it says playing it, it's not moving it. Very easy to understand, I would assume. Card instructs you to discard. You do not need to use the discard action to do so. The card instructs you to find a specific card. Follow the card instructions on where to find it. If no instructions, you search the card in this order. In play first, then in the discard pile, in a deck, villain, or fate, reshuffle the search deck. When you find the card, follow its instructions. Use a hero and ally, any items attached to them are discarded. Reshuffling, if you ever need to draw an empty deck, shuffle your discard to form a new deck. So I think some of these are very basic ones, but we're just going to go over them really quick anyhow. Fate deck includes villain-specific cards that will mess with their goals, including heroes that faced in the Disney movie. If one or both Fate decks cards drawn cannot be played, for example, you have an item, there's no hero in the realm, they cannot be played and must be discarded. Fate favors your opponent this time, so you don't need to keep drawing until you find something that actively will hurt them. Heroes. If a hero has 0 strength, you must still use the Vanquish action or a card ability to defeat the hero, but no allies are needed to be discarded. So if you can reduce a hero's strength to 0, you can beat them without having to have something in the area to confront against them or fight them. But you still have to. If there are multiple heroes in rotation, they can be defeated in any order. Cards that allow you to defeat or remove heroes do not require you to perform allies or vanquish actions. If a hero with an item is moved or discarded, all attached items are moved or discarded with them. No limit to the number of items that may be attached to a hero. The Fate Token is used in 5 to 6 player games. When you are the target of a Fate Token, take the Fate Token from the last player who's targeted. As long as you have it, you may not be the target of a Fate action. Now, I'm going to mention, I actually play with this in a 3-player game. Just so that you can't feel like you're ganging up on one person, because then it also adds into a little bit of the strategy of someone starting to win. They're like, oh look, I only need to play these 2 cards to win or something. Then both players can't just sit there each turn, fate that person, fate that person, fate that person. What it does is it literally forces in a 3-player game, and this is why I find it a little bit more interesting. If player 1 is about to win, player 2 can fate them. But now, unless player 1, when player 3 goes, they can't fate player 1 again. So their only option to get that token off of them is to have to fate player 2. So it's forcing them to also hurt that other person as well, to be able to do it. And then player 1 can go ahead and fate, then player 1, they can leave it on there or not. But it makes it so you can't just gang up on someone at the end and be like, oh look, they're about to win, let's just all gang up on them, the other 2 players, and then they end up knocking them way down or really wrecking their strategy, and then one of the other players can come by and like, oh look, I was only 3 turns away. Well hey, if you're only 3 turns away and you have to get fated to move that token, well, locked location. Some villains have locations roam that are locked at the beginning of the game, or may become locked during the game. They're unlocked when certain victories are met. You cannot play cards or activate locations, and strength tokens are used to change hero or ally strength. Very simple. There's all the different sets, with the exception of they now are adding the Introduction to Evil as opposed to the original version. I don't remember the name of it, but it's the kind of. I'm hoping that means that now that they're doing these 2-player sets, is they'll release the original 2 characters they took out of the base game, which were Jafar and who was the other one? They took out 2 characters, Jafar and Queen of Hearts. So I'm hoping they put them in another one. Now, what I am kind of hoping they don't do it unless they're going to completely rework their decks, which they might do. Is I hope they just put them in a box together, so like I would have the option to skip it if I didn't want it. But they might just throw them in with another character just to kind of get people that didn't buy the original one that now buy everything else. So I guess we'll find out. All right, let's hop in. First of all, I want to look at my counter. So of course we had 25 of these, so I'm not going to pull all them up. We had some fire token, racer tokens. We'll look at when we get there. But there's some new stuff I do like. They have these -2 and -3 counters. They go on your character. So those are kind of nice. I like you only have 5 of them though. I wish there was more. But I do like when they started adding those. Then we also have a stack of -1 counters. But what's fun about these is on the other side we have some +1s for some heroes to give them bonuses. I love that again as a fact. I love that if I put an item on a guy, even an item I should be able to just drop a counter on is a reminder that I can instinctively look at and be like, oh, he has 3 power plus 1. And I don't have to sit there and try and remember each one. We'll look at the other 2 tokens in a minute. There's a reminder of our action symbols and our 2 ways to win. So we'll jump into those. We're going to start with Candy King. Because he has a very interesting mechanics. This is welcome to the boss level. His objective is pass the start finish with a glitch attached to Vanallope von Sweets. So, he has a different realm. So his is Sugar Rush Speedway. So normally, they're broke up into 4 groups. And you can kind of see they still have that. They have where you play fate cards and they cover up icons. And then they have your cards down here. But he has a different way to move. So what you do is you put his counter, which we have his here. His is target exclusive. It's his little race car. His crown. But he's a gumball in there. It's a bubble gum or candy colored instead of clear. What you do is you put him on the board. And now what he does is during your turn, you can move anywhere from, I believe it has to be 1. Yeah, anywhere between 1 to 4 actions, even if it's covered. So you have to decide how many spaces you want to move. So it's kind of neat, is you might actually stay in the same realm. But the thing is, if I move 2 spaces and I move here, I don't get access to everything. What I do is you get access to either the space you're on and the space 1 before it. So most he's ever generally going to get, unless he lands on this one, is 3 spaces. If he's here, he gets 3. He's here, he gets 3. So he's never going to get generally more than 3 at a time. But that also, and actually here he's only going to get 2 because there's nothing that happens on the start-finish line. Yeah, it makes him a very interesting character. And he has to go in the race direction order. So he starts here, he goes this way, he does a figure 8. So then he goes down this way, comes all the way back around, gotta follow the little arrows here, comes back around, and then goes back towards the finish line. So that makes him very interesting because he has kind of a little bit more fine-tuning on some of the stuff because you could get some of the same icons multiple turns in a row. Because, right, I could be here, I draw a card, or I play a card, I have 3, and I have discard. So I could play this, I could move here, gain my 3 the next turn, and still have action to play 4 cards. Then I could go here a 3rd time, and have, again, I could still play a card, discard, and then I could have 3 as well. So I could get 3 times in a row. But now also keep in mind that as I'm going around the rest of the board, it's going to take me a while to earn that power back. But, you know, you could get here, and then you can move 4 spaces, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then next turn, 1, 2, 3, and start it back over again. So you do have some different options. There's a little bit of tweaking, but still makes it a little bit more interesting. And then if a fate card ever covers up one of the characters, so if, like, this covers up, I still have to technically move these 2 spaces in here. So if I have that there, I might have to move 1, 2. I might not just have access to those 2 spots. So it does make that the fate cards actually hinder him a little bit more than maybe other characters because, again, if these 2 both get covered up and I'm right here, during this turn, I don't have access to this one when I'm here. I don't have access to that one either. So I lose 2, and then when I move here, I move that, but that means where you might want to move 3 or 4 until you can get rid of it. So yes, it's a very interesting different thing. And then this also has to do with, eventually, you add Vanallope on there with a glitch token. And then she starts at the start-finish, and then she tries to move across the board, and then you have to actually race her. And we'll get into a little bit more how that works in a second here. Let's look at some of his things. So, like, we have Vanquish, we have Fate, we have Discard. So then, like, spot 2, we have Discard, Play cards, and Fate. And then we get there, so we get a lot of discards and playing cards right in the middle here. Then on this side of the board, we have a move card, and we have 2 power. So when you get to this side, we can get some more extra power if you didn't get enough from being over here. It's also our only move card option. And then this side's our only vanquish option. So you kind of got to keep that in mind. If you need to vanquish, you have to move all the way across the border. If you have to move there. Otherwise, you have some fading and drawing and playing cards kind of spread around. Alright. Let's look at his rules here quick, just because he does have some stuff. I'm not going to read through all of these, but he does have a special movement. So it does say he passes the 3 power twice on a single circuit. Yeah, so it says before Candy King moves, declare the number of spaces while move between 1 and 4. The action space counts even if covered. So I'm assuming you move onto the 3 one, but it might be very possible that you just skip by it. I would assume you move to it, even though it's not listed as one of the other spots, because it just says an action space. Candy King has access to cards you can play without playing a card. Pay the races played and play before King Candy declares his movement. Turbo Task allows King to perform actions are currently covered, so he gets some extra free cards. Performing actions. Once his move, he may perform action he is on, the action in front of him on the track, the action behind him. There can be a total of 3 actions on his turn. They can be performed in any order. If an action is covered, you cannot perform the action, but if you end up removing them, then you can obviously do that. Even though Candy King's realm is one continuous speedway, each panel represents a location that is used in Vanquish actions. So otherwise it functions the same way. And then the big race. When the glitch is played on Vanellope Vaughn Suites, begin the big race by placing the racer token and Candy King mover on the start finish. End Candy King's turn. Note, the multiple glitches can be stacked on Vanellope, but the big race only begins if the glitch is placed on her when no other glitches are attached. If King Candy reaches the start finish before the racer token, he wins the game. If the racer token reaches start finish first, remove all glitches from Vanellope and place them on Candy King's hand. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and hop in and see what his cards do. Because then they'll probably explain how she moves and some of that stuff like that. Alright, so I always want to look at the back of the cards. We love the backs of these because they have some really cool artwork. Outside has like that kind of like royalty, like rappery type thing. He got his crown up there. He has some candy. He has his computer with all his glitches. Power up his trophy. Sugar Rush Speedway. Down here at the bottom, kind of like a map of it. And then his helmet. Very cool. Alright, so we're going to look at his allies first. So we have Sour Bill. When Sour Bill is played or moved, you may reveal the top card from your deck until you find an ally. Put the ally in your hand and place the remaining cards back on the top of your deck in any order. Yes, we just did reveal that, so it also means, like saying that earlier, so if you reveal cards, your opponent gets to see them, so they're going to know what cards you're putting back on top of your deck. It's also a way for you to, like, technically be honest in a game, so you can't lie and say, oh, I didn't have anything else in there. Like, this one's not that big of a deal, but, awesome. Then we have Duncan and Winchell. Some donuts. When Duncan and Winchell are played or moved, you may perform a Vanquish action. So this is a great way for you to get that Vanquish more often. On the other side of the board, he has Vanquish on one side, he has a move on the other, but if you can move them, he'll get you some more. Vanellope's main rival is Taffia Mutton Fudge. Taffietta. Taffika. Each player move the racer token back 2 action spaces, or you may play a card action. So that's cool, it gives you some more. We have 3 copies of racers. When racers play or move, gain 1 power. So it's kind of interesting because they only have 1 move action on his board. So when he gets there, he's going to be able to only move 1 card, except he can do this technically if he's sitting around it. He can do it 3 times in a row, so he can get spot before it, spot on it, and spot after it. So he can kind of move around a little bit more and access that multiple times. We have 3 copies of Candy Cybugs. Candy Cybug is not discarded after using a Vanquish action. Instead, increase its strength by 1 and move it to a new location. Ooh, so it's going to get bigger and badder. And then we have our conditions. So I always like to look at these. So we have 2 copies of Out of Power. Or, sorry, Out of Order. Learn how to read. If another player gains 2 or more power during their turn, you may play Out of Order. Choose any card in your discard pile and put it into your hand. So these are always fun because you got to kind of pay attention what your opponent's doing so you can see when you can play these for free. And then we have 2 powers of the most powerful virus in the arcade. If another player moves an ally or item during their turn, you may play the most powerful ally. Move forward 2 action spaces. This can be very situational because maybe it might get you to where you need to be, but maybe you don't want to move. Since you have a little bit more freedom on your movement, this may or may not be helpful, but it could be very helpful when you're trying to do the race at the end. Because then you can just get there right away. Alright, then we have 3 copies of the glitch, just so we can find it quicker. Glitch is played, attach it to Vanallope on Switch. If a glitch is already attached, move Candy King and the racer token forward 2 action spaces. So this will help you get them forward a little bit farther. If no other glitch is attached, remove the racer token and Candy King mover. Place it. If no other glitch is attached, place a racer token and Candy King's mover on the start finish. End your turn. So the first time you play it, it starts you off. Then the second time, it lets you move your guys forward. So technically, you can play 2 more of these and move your character forward 2 times. We have 3 copies of Turbo-tastic back in the old racing days. Play Turbo-tastic without performing a play a card action. If any of your 3 available actions are covered, you may still take those actions. Yes, this is kind of interesting. So you can play it for free and whenever, but it just lets you use your covered actions. As long as your actions aren't covered, this card's basically useless to you. It's not saying you can play. It's not saying you can play those actions. It's saying if any of your 3 actions are covered, you may take those actions this turn. It's unlocking those for that turn. It's like a little cheat code. We have 3 copies of Locked Up Memories. Either gain 3 power or move the racer token back 2 action spaces. This would be one way to prevent her from getting to the end. We have 3 copies of Go. You may move up to 2 allies to new locations. Now, almost all our allies had extra things for moving, except for the Cybugs, but they need to move to Vanquish, so that helps. We have 2 copies of Have Some Candy. Reveal the top 5 cards of your deck. Put up to 2 cards in your hand, discard the rest. This would get your glitch cards back, of course. 1 copy of the Ralph's Hero Medal, which costs 3. When Ralph's Hero Medal is played, find Wreck-It Ralph and play him to this location. Attach Ralph's Hero Medal to him. When Wreck-It Ralph is defeated, find Vanellope on Switch and play her to his location. So this helps you, basically, you're using Ralph to get you Vanellope. Pay to race. Before performing actions on your turn, you may pay to race without performing a card action. Pay up to 6 power and move the Candy King forward a number of spaces. So again, you can play this without using your action. Play as much points as you have. Again, this could help you at the end to help you win, or could even during the middle of the game get you where you need to be. Then the last one is that can't be allowed to race. Move any number of allies to a hero's location. Perform a Vanquish action, but do not discard the allies used to defeat the hero. Then you may move the racer token back 3 action spaces. So cool. She has lots of effects. He only has the 1 item, which is Ralph's Medal, otherwise all the rest are effects. He has a decent number of allies. Yeah, so he's pretty interesting. Lots of, again, that movement ability is going to be very integral to how that works. Then, of course, we have our Fate cards, which we start out with. That cool back, just again, like to show off. We have, of course, a Vanellope Von Sheets. Before Candy King moves, if Vanellope Von Sheets has a glitch attached, reveal the top card of the Candy's racer deck and move the racer token forward that card's cost plus 2 action spaces. Put the card on the bottom of his deck. So this basically means, right, because she has 2 to vanquish, is his cards he can move. He has lots of 3s and some 0s, lots of 1s. Let me get back to the racers. 2s and 1s. So that means on average, she's going to be moving 2 to 4 spaces, which is what you can move each turn. So basically what might end up happening then is while you're racing against her, she is going to be she's going to be covering up your icons as too. She just stays next to it, gives you less actions, but she can move just as fast as you. When you're trying to get to race her at the end to win the game, you basically are going to have to almost sacrifice doing your other actions unless you somehow get in front of her. You could end up getting one of the 0 cards or the question mark, which is basically 0. For the purpose of this, which only moves her 2 spaces, so you could get some good advantage. But the problem is, you could also end up drawing the 6 cost card. So basically, if you're fighting Vanellope, you definitely want to try and get that card out first. Otherwise, also now she moves 8 spaces. Ooh, that's gonna really put you way behind. Cool. Then we have Ralph, who you could play, but he has 6 to vanquish. Wreck-It Ralph. When Wreck-It Ralph is played, you may move Vanellope on switch to any location. Kangington must pay 1 power to perform a moving item or ally action. So this really send Vanellope back when you play him. You play him afterwards. We have Fix-It Felix Jr. When Fix-It Felix Jr. is played, you may move Vanellope on switch to any location. So again, this is the ally getting to do this. So basically, you play one of these guys. They're protecting Vanellope, so they can basically just move Vanellope to the finish line and have you have to start over. At the start of Kangington's turn, he can only move forward 2 or 3 action spaces. Sergeant Tamora Jolin Kulahan. I did not know her name was Tamora. Looked at it, had to have actually said that in there. When playing Sergeant Kahulan is played, you may move an LP bond speech to any location. Kangington must pay 1 power to perform a playing action card. So basically, playing any of these other 3 heroes are going to basically allow Vanellope to win if she's already out. And move her card around. So I actually did say it wrong. It lets her move the Vanellope card, but it doesn't move her racer. So I should actually say that. It doesn't move her racer card, but it does move her character card around. But it'll help protect her, because that way if they're like, oh, I have guys to vanquish on this spot, you can move her to a different spot or move her to their card, so then they have some protection. So there's that. We do have some effect cards. We have 2 copies of Princess Vanellope. Move Kangington back up to 4 spaces. Vanellope's Medal, we have 1 of those. You may choose to play a hero from Kangington's discard pile. That hero gains +1 strength. The Beacon. Choose a location and move all adjacent Candy Cybugs in play to that location. You may remove 1 Candy Cybug from that location. Kind of congesting together, and you can get rid of some of them. And double said, these are very good cards for getting rid of stuff. 2 copies of I Finally Have a Real Card. Reveal the top card of King Tandy's deck. You may move the racer token forward that number of action spaces equal to the card's cost +1. Put this card on the bottom of his deck. So basically, when you get Vanellope out, your opponents are going to want to turn around and be fading you as much as possible if they haven't, because they might draw these cards that let her move more. Or the Vanellope card helps out as well, or to keep Vanellope on the board. 2 copies of Unfinished Level. With the top 4 cards of King Candy's deck, put 2 cards on the top and 2 on the bottom of the deck in any order. Stack them for Vanellope's turn. 1 copy of What's With All the Magic Sparkles. You may discard a glitch. If you discard a glitch and a glitch is still attached to Vanellope Von Treats, move the racer token 3 spaces forward. And then finally, we have 2 copies of it. Just Glazed Me. King Candy must reveal his hand and discard 2 cards. Yeah, so this is a very interesting play style, having your option to move around. Plus, when you get Vanellope, your game kind of changes fundamentally and what your goal is. Most of the other ones, it's like, I'm trying to do this, and then when it happens, it's just kind of like, okay, I get out this character, and I just need to kind of do some other actions to move that character. This sort of changes up, because you almost kind of want to stop playing the rest of your cards and just focus on getting to the end. But you also gotta watch people fading you, because it might put bad cards on top of your deck, or higher cost cards, so Vanellope can move quicker, or it might move you back. So yeah, them fading you a lot towards the end. Now, I did say earlier, on a 3-player game, I like to get rid of that token, or put that token out, so you can't abuse people. This might be the one time where that might end up being a bad thing, because if you can't have both players attacking him, he literally just has to keep going. There's a couple other characters I can see where that could be an issue. Might be like Prince John as well, who just has to gain a number of coins. So like, he doesn't have to be necessarily on any specific spot, but with Candy King, he doesn't literally have to be anywhere specific or do any specific actions. Once Vanellope's out, he just has to move that many spots to win. And since he starts on this, he only has to move, you move 4 every time. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So turn 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, turn 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, turn 3, and 1, 2, 3, 4, turn 4. So he only needs to technically take 5 turns to win once she's out. That's all he has to focus on doing. He doesn't have to worry about the other stuff as much. You know, but if they fade him more, then it's gonna hurt it. So if he has to get faded every round, it could happen. It could really slow him way down. Alright, that's what happened to that. Let's hop over to Shere Khan. Alright, now we have Shere Khan from, of course, the Jungle Book. Now I'm going to close my eyes and count to 10. Makes the chase more interesting for me. Defeat Mogili when there are no fire tokens in his realm. Alright, so his is going to play more like a typical board. He has the river, which gives him Vanquish, play a card, and Fate actions. And on the top, he has Discard. Council Rock, 1 power, play a card, and move a card, and it's Vanquish on the top. The Ancient Ruins gets him his 3 power, which of course are covered up there. But on the bottom, he has activate a card, discard a card, and play a card. You also notice he has Activate, which is something none of Candy King's cards had. And then on the Wastelands, he has a 2 and 2. He has Activate and play a card at the top, or 2 power and play a card on the bottom. So obviously, he's going to keep wanting to go back to the Ancient Ruins to get that 3 a bunch. But also, kind of neat on the top of his stuff, his cards where he kind of like, where he sort of rules, he has more power on the bottom, and when he gets to like an area he doesn't necessarily rule, you know, or command over, he has less options on the top. Yes, he has more options on the top. He has to worry about people covering. I should say more where the area he kind of covers. Yeah, very interesting. So he doesn't have any like super specialty stuff. But let's look at his little booklet here and see what it does. I'm going to back this up just a bit so we can see this a little bit easier. Alright, so setup is placed the 4 fire tokens off to the side. So we get your little fire tokens. You kind of wish they were a different color, but I get why they didn't do that. It would be neat if they were red. So he has Kaa in his eyes and his coil. Shere Khan's ally Kaa has multiple ways to help Shere Khan. You can attach Kaa's eyes and Kaa's coils to Kaa's items to increase his strength from 4 to even 6. When using a Vanquish action, you can remove those items instead of Kaa, and you can use Kaa's activated actions to find those items to the discard pile. So he's going to be kind of like a secondary character almost. Man's Red Fire. Fire tokens are placed using the Fate cards, Mogili and Man's Red Fire. If fire going to be placed on a single action, which treats it as if it is covered by a hero card, the fire token can be placed on top of any action in the top or bottom row. This definitely adds a little twist to it, because normally you can almost never affect the bottom row at all. But now they can actually cover up almost all of his board, or majority of his board. You can even cover up all his power tokens if you really had a card on the top of the 3 and then you place one as 2 bottom ones. You'd stop him from being able to gain power, which would be very interesting. The fire token can be placed on any action, top or bottom row of Shere Khan's realm. The card play that already exists is already played that already exists at the location. The token can still be played on action, but both will need to be removed before that action can be taken. So you can actually stack these on top of each other as well. Bravo, let's perform a blocked action even if it is covered by a fire token. So they had to do that, otherwise if you covered all of them tokens, you basically could effectively keep him from winning. Or playing the game. Not even winning, just playing the game. Manipulating cards. Hey, cuz, Trust in me lets you manipulate the cards in your villain deck. Hate cards lets you reveal cards you fight an ally. And Trust Me lets you shuffle 3 cards from your discard pile into your deck. Removing fire tokens. To remove fire tokens, activate action on monkeys. It's me, Shere Khan removes a token without sacrificing an ally. And then Fight Like a Bear. Blue has unique power. The effects defeating and vanquishing all other heroes. While blue is in play, if Shere Khan defeats a hero, that hero is not removed. Instead, place a power token on blue. When blue has 3 power tokens on him, he is defeated. Blue can protect heroes this way before he is defeated and discarded. Cool. So let's go ahead and hop into his deck. We're going to get, of course, the back of his card, which is really cool. Border has like some vines and some leaves. We have Kaa's coils up at the top. Shere Khan's face with some claws. Kaa in the middle with his hypnotize ability, and then we have Shere Khan popping out of the grass because he's a hunter. So now we have both him and Scar. So we need to get some more tigers in here so we can play some more, play a tiger-filled game or a cat-filled game. We need to get some more cats in here, I should say. Alright, so we're going to start looking at Kaa. He costs 3. He says, gains 2 strength for each item attached. Now, again, there's only your 2 items. It's not going to have more than that. When Kaa would be discarded, you may discard an item attached to him instead. And activate. Choose an item from your discard pile and pay its cost and play it. So there's going to be a bunch of activate icons on here. So again, I want to look at this quick. He's got 1 up here and he's got 1 there. So he's got 2 different actions to do that. Again, this might be where your opponent has to debate. Do I cover up his power tokens with the fire tokens so he can't gain more power? Or do I cover up these activate actions so he can't activate stuff? Luckily, if you use hero cards to cover up some of the top, fire tokens to cover up the bottom, you can effectively shut down a lot of his stuff. Yeah, so that's cool. Our other allies, we have King Louie, who has an activate. Move a monkey to any location in Shere Khan's realm. So you're just going to hang out and move your monkeys around, which are going to be very helpful. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 6 of them. Not often we get 6 of the same ally. They only cost 1 and they have activate. Pay 1 power for each fire token at this location. Remove all fire tokens from this location and discard this monkey. So it doesn't really matter what your power is for here. For vanquishing, you just have to activate them. But also keep in mind, though, that if your opponent puts 1 on each or 3 on 1 spot, then you have to pay enough to remove all of them. So stacking up multiple in the same location can definitely make them harder to remove because you have to pay more to get rid of each one as opposed to spreading them all out. So very interesting. Alright, then we have some items here. We have Kaa's Eyes for hypnotizing. When Kaa's Eyes is played, attached to Kaa, if Shere Khan is at this location, you may perform 1 action covered by a hero token, but not by a fired token. And so it's just not when it's played you do that, as long as Kaa's in the area. You basically hypnotize a hero and use their ability, or what's under them. Kaa's Coils, when Kaa's Coils play, attached to Kaa. When Kaa is moved, you may move a hero from Kaa's previous location to his new location, so that way you can uncover them spots. So it's a really fun idea. We have our conditions. We're going to jump into those quick. So we have 2 copies of Trust in Me. His hypnotizing Mogili there. If an opponent takes 3 or more actions on their turn, play Trust in Me. Choose up to 3 cards in your discard pile and shuffle them into your deck. Yeah, very interesting. Often not, unless their spots are covered up, are they not going to take multiple actions. And most characters have option to take 3 to 4 every turn, so it's probably going to be very easy to trigger this one. And then we have 2 copies of How Interesting, How Delightful. If an opponent performs play a card action, which is going to happen all the time, play How Interesting, How Delightful. If you do any of you may do any or all of these. Collect 1 power, draw 1 card, move 1 fire token to a new action. It always says 1 because maybe for some reason you don't want to draw a card. Or maybe you don't want to move a fire token because maybe it's covering up a spot that you don't really care at the time about. Or you moved it on a previous turn. So that's why it's a May action, not forcing you to do all of them. We have some effect cards. We have 2 copies of Hey Cuz. Reveal a card from the top of your deck until you reveal an ally. You may play that ally for free, discard the rest. So you're going to get your monkeys out really quick, or possibly Kaa. 2 copies of It's Me, Shere Khan. Remove a fire token at Shere Khan's location. 2 copies of Sure to pick up his trail. Defeat a hero if Mogili is in your realm. If not, find and play Mogili. So, very interesting because, again, his thing is defeat Mogili and no fire tokens in his realm. So if there's no fire tokens and you play this, you just straight up can defeat Mogili because he's a hero. So that's why your opponent needs to get them fire tokens out or needs to get blue out to protect him. Very interesting. We have 2 copies of You Will Inform Me First. Discard the top 3 cards of your fate deck. You may shuffle 1 card from your fate deck and then from your fate discard pile into the fate deck. Yeah, so to get rid of some cards off your fate deck. So why would you want to shuffle 1 card from your fate discard pile into the fate deck? Why would you want to put cards back in? So the reason to doing that, without looking at what the fate cards in there, if anything might help you, but one reason why you might want to do that is because if the fate deck runs out, then they reshuffle and you get all them other cards back. So let's say if there's 8 cards in the deck and I remove, or say there's 5 cards in the deck and I remove 3, now there's down to 2. I could shuffle 1 back in there that might not be as harmful to me. And then that way I can get it quicker. Alternatively, if you discard Mogili, you could put them back in the deck so you can find them quicker. So some different reasons for that. 2 copies of Bravo, Bravo. Play Bravo, Bravo without performing a play action. Play a card action. Perform 1 covered action at Shere Khan's location. This is neat. It's the kind of combination between him and Candy King. Is the locations are covered and they get ways to play those abilities. We have 3 copies of Everyone Runs from Shere Khan. Everyone Runs from Shere Khan's play, perform an activate or vanquish action. So you can do that wherever, which is nice. And our last 3 cards for the deck are Young and Helpless. Move a hero to a location with an ally or gain 1 power for each ally in Shere Khan's realm. So getting a bunch of the monkeys out can really help. Awesome. That was Shere Khan's deck. Then we have, of course, our Fate deck with the back of the cards. Just have the same picture, just in that white. We're going to start off with Mogili. When Mogili is played or moved, add a fire token to his location. So yeah, that's going to suck. We have Blue. When another hero will be defeated, place a power token on Blue instead. When Blue has 3 power tokens, discard them. So you can wait till you defeat 3 other characters and then get them for free. Or you can try and defeat them for 4. But maybe you really have to get rid of a character because you need them off the board for that. But again, Blue's there, you may as well take him out first. Just so otherwise you're just going to make him harder to beat. Bagheera, the Panther. When Bagheera is played, you may move all heroes and allies from his location to any other location, so you can scare everyone off. Get some generic heroes. We got 2 copies of Wolfpack. When Wolfpack is played, discard a monkey or an item from their location. So really hurt your opponents. We have the Jungle Patrol. When Jungle Patrol is played, reveal the top card of Shere Khan's fate deck. If it is in effect, play it. Otherwise, return it to the top of the deck. And they have 6 to beat. And then finally, we get the Vultures. You only have 1. But when you play Vultures to a location with another hero, when played, move Vultures and that hero to another location. So this will help you dodge around being vanquished. 2 copies of He's My Friend. Choose a location at Shere Khan's realm. All heroes at that location get 1 strength. 1 copy of Tiger by the Tail. You may move a hero to any location. You may move Shere Khan to a location with a hero. Yeah, it's so interesting. You move guys around. And moving Shere Khan can definitely mess up what he was doing. Because maybe he was already on the... He was like, oh, I used 3 last... or the turn before. Now I moved here. Now I'm going to go back to 3 power the next time. Or I'm going to go with his Vanquish action. And you can move him there, and then now he can't move there that turn because he's already there. Then we have 5 copies of Man's Red Fire. Place a fire token or move a fire token to any location. Keep in mind, there's 5 of these. Mogili plays some. There's a couple other cards that do stuff with fire tokens. You only have 4 of them. So once 4 are out, you can't place anymore. You can't grab a power token and add more on there. So you're never going to have like the entire board just covered with fire tokens. But yeah, getting them moving around because this could very be helpful if like you're fading Shere Khan and like maybe originally you're like, okay, I don't want him to have the ability to activate a card. So you cover up this one. Then later on, activate. You cover up this one, and then later on you play a hero up here. Well, now, since that's already covered, you can move, you're like, oh, I'm not worried about this. Sorry. You covered up this one with a fire token, right? Because you really had to get rid of it. And then you play a hero here. You could move that token somewhere down to here and cover up this one. That's right. You can use that to, like, move the cards around when you play heroes to cover up your other stuff. Very cool. Very interesting character. Oh, we didn't show off his miniature, so there's Shere Khan there. One of the only times he's not really very abstract. Like, lots of them are very abstract. Like, they'll kind of look like the character, like their hair or part of their torso. It's like one of the few ones where it's just this full figure. I don't know what else you would have done. Had, like, a stripes or... Because he doesn't have a lot of, like, gear or items or iconic stuff he's trying to do. It's kind of interesting. Alright, that's what we have for Villainous, Sugar, and Spike. So yeah, we're going to keep an eye out for new sets coming out. Again, this should be double packs. We'll have to see, like I said, if they have the Queen of Hearts and Jafar ones just come out as a single set for people that, you know, just want to buy them. But again, if they're doing the whole oddball character versus the known one, they'll probably separate those two out. So hopefully if they do that, they at least rework their decks like they did with the introduction to evil stuff. Yeah, there's still a lot of characters we haven't got. Some neat ones would be interesting to do. You know, especially if we're starting to get into some of the digitally stuff instead of the hand-drawn stuff. Because I wonder if they're going to jump into stuff like, we haven't done Frozen, we haven't done Moana. There's those. We've done the Steamboat Willie for Pete, but surprisingly enough, we haven't done any of the other Pete versions. It's always an option there, because he was a big foil to Mickey and a lot of stuff. Like, Three Musketeers would be an interesting one to have that. Especially I'm thinking like Laura Khan is super popular. And there's stuff with that. Also, speaking of Laura Khan, because we're adding more stuff to that, I'm kind of some of the new stuff that came in there. Because they also added stuff in there, which might be hints to stuff that might come out in this later on. It's the same company. We had Treasure Planet, Atlantis, Encanto. But then they also started adding some TV series. They added the new DuckTales, the newer version, not the old one, but that could be a possible one. A little bit harder to do a TV series, because there's generally not a villain. There's usually multiple villains. So that'd be interesting to see if they just pick one and do it that way, or maybe if they have like a neat mechanic where you could have like put them both in the same set. Like, instead of having like the single pack, like we had Oogie Boogie, have like a double pack that's like DuckTales, right? And you have, like for that, have Flint McGoldheart, and then the other one have, Magica the Sorcerer, if I said her name right. Like, and then have them both in the same box. The other things they also added in there is they added Tailspin, which is a very interesting one, because if you're from a Tailspin, it is the cast of the Jungle Book, but now they're all wearing clothes and stuff, and Baloo's the hero, Louis is his friend, Shere Khan is like evil, but he's in a suit, and there's some other new characters, and again, that'd be interesting to see if they ever dived into stuff like that. So lots of Villainous they can still come out with, and on top of that, they still have Star Wars, and they also have Marvel stuff they're doing. If they go back to these 2-packs, maybe they'll get back into releasing more of them. Tons of Star Wars movies came out, always more Marvel content. You know, or, you know, like tying some of the Wolverine and Deadpool for another set. I know they're supposed to do a Sinister Six they didn't get into. Yeah, lots of interesting, more stuff they could definitely do with this game. I don't know what other franchises they could do if they want to pull away from the Disney and do other stuff. Obviously, you could do a ton of different stuff. But again, it comes harder when there's not a lot of movies or lore or characters, because then TV series sometimes become a little bit trickier. Because there's not always one villain, there's sometimes multiple. That being said, interesting ones that I would love to see would be, just top of my head, be kind of cool to see like a villainous version of Buffy. See, like, from a villain point of view, like, you know, you got like Spike or some of the other characters, like the mayor and stuff. Be very interesting. Alright, that's what we got anyhow. Sorry for listening to me ramble. Hit me up in the comments if you're still listening. See you guys later. Bye.